Hello people, this is Dr. Wang here recording. In this video clip, we are moving to a new chapter, chapter number 8, transaction exposure. And the transaction exposure is mainly deal with hedging. To hedge is a major financial topic. It is about avoiding the risk of different prices, and especially when the price goes unfavorably. So previously, we were working on options and futures and all these derivatives. And our topic then was speculating. Okay, let's say speculating, and the speculating is different than hedging. Okay, that's one thing you need to know. So what is speculating about? So in speculation, you need to buy and sell the assets. And in this class, international finance class, we buy and sell foreign currencies. So if there is a buy, there has to be a sell, because at the end of the game, you don't want to hold the currencies. I'm not talking about 10 euros or 1,000 Japanese yen, which is a very small amount. I'm really talking about a larger amount, let's say 10 millions of pounds or 5 millions of euros. So when you buy 5 millions of euros, you don't want to hold it forever. You don't want to spend 5 million euros to do a vacation to Europe or buy a yacht in Italy. Okay, you want to get rid of it at the end. So you're going to sell it. So if you buy 5 million euros in your speculation game, you have to sell it. And if you short sell at the beginning, then you have to buy it at the end. Okay, let me put a long. It's the same thing. So what short means is today you borrow and sell right away. Definitely borrow from a broker who likes to provide your assets. And then later, you're gonna buy from the market, okay, from a spot market, and then return the currency to the broker. Okay, so it is different than a short sale in the real estate market. So if you buy a house or you sell a house, if you have a very bad financial situation and you have too much of a loan, but your house cannot sell that much, then that's called a short sale of your real estate. But in the stock market or in the foreign currencies market, short selling is completely different. So you just need to know short selling is about borrow today and sell today, and later on you buy from the market and then return to whoever you borrow from. So you hope that you can sell today at a higher price and then buy at a lower price later to earn a profit. So if you are taking a short position, definitely you are a barrier because you think the currency is going down. Okay, so all I'm saying here is there have to be a pair of transactions. When there's a buy, there has to be a sell. When there's a short, there has to be a long. So at the end of the day, you need to clear your position. Okay, that's speculation is about. You want to buy low and sell high, or sell high and buy low later to lock in a profit. But the new topic today is hedging. Okay, to hedge, it is completely different. So who would need to hedge? Those are multinational corporations. So what do? They do trade, and they also do cross-country investment. So if they do trade, they will need to import or export. Okay, if they invest, then they will need to deal with capital inflows and also capital outflows. All right, imagine all of this are denominated in foreign currency, then there would be an issue. If all the transactions, no matter for export, import, or capital outflows or inflows, are denominated in US dollars, which is most of the case, if your partner is in a developing country, they love US dollars, so we just pay them dollars, or we get dollar from them because they love to keep dollars. So there's no issue at all. There's no hedging in our game. But if we're dealing with the British, we're dealing with the Swiss, then our transactions could be invoiced in a British pound or Swiss franc. all these foreign currencies, then there would be an issue because if the currency change unfavorably, you would lose money. So let's say if you import, you are buying things from the foreigners, then you will need to pay in foreign currencies, right? And if you export, you're selling to foreigners, so you will receive foreign currencies, okay? And of course, if you are receiving capital inflows, so basically that means you are receiving foreign currencies if they pay you, not in dollar. If you have a capital outflow, then you will need to pay foreign currencies. Okay, so that's the activities within the big theme of hedging. I hope that's clear for you. Once again, if all these activities, imports, export, capital inflows and outflows are invoiced in US dollar, there's no hedging at all. You don't need to hedge. You just receive and pay dollars. You don't have to do any exchange at all. But if these activities are done in a currency other than US dollars, then you have to think whether that currency would move to an unfavorable direction. Okay, and that comes to the idea of hedging. So no matter you are doing trade or investment, let's say if you are going to receive foreign currencies, let's say you would have an account receivable in foreign currency. FX stands for foreign exchange. Let's say make it a British pound, 10 million. Okay. So there could be two situations. Either the pound appreciate or the pound depreciate. So which is good for you? If the pound appreciate, for the 10 million pound you'll receive, you will get more dollars, right? Let's say the pound appreciate from $1 to $2 for the 10 million pounds. You are not getting $10 million. Instead, you are getting $20 million. So that's good. So this is good. So you don't need to hedge. Just let it happen. Okay? But if a pound depreciates, then for the same $10 million, you would get less US dollar as compared to before. So this is bad. So you need to hedge. All right? Likewise, if you're doing trade or investment and if you are about to pay money, that's account payable for you in foreign currencies. Again, let's say this is a 10 million pound. So there could be only two situations. Either pound appreciate or it depreciate. Okay, so if a pound appreciate, so that means for the same 10 million pounds, it's gonna be worth more dollars than before. You are paying more dollars, so that's bad, and you need to find a way to avoid that risk, and we call that hedging. And if it depreciates, then that's good, because for the same 10 million pounds, you only need to pay less dollars than before, so you just let it happen. So these are the cases we need to do hedging. So when you have foreign currency receivables in pounds or euros, you need to hedge when the currency depreciates. Okay. And if you have payables in foreign currencies, you need to hedge when the currency appreciate. Okay, that's something you need to remember. Okay, you can do analysis to reach the conclusion or simply reach the conclusion. Now let's move to the PowerPoint. And in this chapter, our topic is management of transaction exposure. So transaction exposure is a topic for the management of foreign exchange risk. And in Chapter 9, we are going to learn economic exposure, which is the sensitivity of a firm's value to the change of exchange rate. In Chapter 11, we are going to learn translation exposure. So that's about accounting procedures, especially when you have financial statements invoiced in foreign currencies. But since this is finance class, we're not going to touch too much about translation exposure. We just focus on economic exposure in Chapter 9 and transaction exposure in Chapter 8. So the definition of a transaction exposure is the sensitivity of realized dollar values of the firm's contractual transactions in foreign currencies to exchange rate movement. So the realized dollar values basically is the US dollar you pay or receive after converting those foreign currency payables and receivables into US dollars. And those receivables and payables are incurred based on the transactions, either imports, exports, or outflow investment or inflow investment. These are in contract. And when the exchange rate moves, then you have to be careful. You don't want them to move to the bad direction. Okay, so in this chapter, we're dealing with account receivables and payables invoiced in foreign currency. To hedge transaction exposures, there are two methodologies, okay, two groups of methods. We call them the methodologies. One is to use financial products. You can use derivatives. You can use money market tools. Another is called operational techniques. You can negotiate. You can just cancel some of the inflows and outflows in foreign currency. So the operational techniques here include the choice of the invoice currency, lead lag strategy, exposure netting, and for financial products, this kind of methodology includes forward contract, futures, options, currency swaps, short-term loans. Okay, so let's first talk about options market hedging. So if you use the forwards, then there could be some losses, and you can use options because options provides the flexibility. If you buy options, you have the right to either access the option or not access the option. If the exchange rate is bad, then you just exercise it, try to lock in a predetermined rate. If the exchange rate is good, you just let it happen. But if you are using forward, then you have to fulfill the contract no matter the exchange is good or bad. If the exchange is good, you still use the forward rate, which is not as good as the spot rate, then you basically are worse off. So that's why I call this as our losses. So here's something you need to memorize. Okay, these are conclusions based on logical analysis, but you can just remember the conclusions. If you want to hedge foreign currency receivables, you buy put options. Okay, if you are dealing with payables in foreign exchange, you buy call options. Okay, the reason is if you use a put option, you buy a put option, basically you have the right to sell at a strike price or a predetermined predetermined exchange rate. So you will receive foreign currencies and definitely you will sell it, right? You will sell the foreign currency into US dollars, and the put option gives you the right to sell at a predetermined price. And for payables, think about if you want to pay somebody 5 million euros in the future, you're going to convert comparable amount of US dollars to that 5 million euros. And essentially you are buying those euros. And a call option provides the right to buy the euros or the foreign currency at a predetermined strike price. Okay, and here's an example. We have Boeing company exported a Boeing 747 to British Airways and billed £10 million payable in 1 year. So if a Boeing company sell aircraft to the British, they will receive the £10 million. Although here is a word payable, but actually Boeing is dealing with a account receivable. Okay, so who is paying? The British Airways paying. Okay, so Boeing deals with receivables in the foreign exchange, and you have the interest rate in US and UK, and right now the spot rate is $1.5 per pound. So based on our analysis before, we need to buy Boeing put options for Boeing company because put option give us the right to sell those 10 million pounds at a strike price. Okay, let's say you have a put option for that size of British pound. The strike price is 1.46 and it has a 1-year expiration. If you buy the put option for each of the British pound, you have to pay $0.02. That's the put premium. However, this premium is paid now, but the 10 million pound will be received a year later. Okay, so if you want to compare apple to apple, orange to orange, you have to put them in the same time spot. This 0.02 is not at the same time spot with 10 million pound, and you have to convert the present value to future value. So the future value of the option cost or the premium you pay is the 10 million pounds multiplied by 2 cents dollar cents per pound, and then you have to compound it by the U.S. interest rate. Okay, why is U.S. interest rate? Because this put option is available in the U.S. market, not in the British market. All right, so now you need to calculate what will be the situation under each possible exchange rate. The pound at the time of expiration, ST is 1 year later, could be 1.3, 1.4, 1.46, 1.5, or 1.6. Under different situations, you may choose to do different activity, either to exercise the put option or choose to do nothing. All right, so here's the thing. Here's your conclusion. If the spot rate is $1.3, so if you sell in the spot market for the 10 million pounds, all right, for each of them, you will only sell at 1.3. Okay, you receive 10 million pounds and then you want to sell them for dollars, and you don't want to sell them at 1.3. That's too low. Okay, so between 1.3 and 1.46, you rather sell at 1.46, right? Because 1.46 is higher. And also, if the spot rate is 1.4, it's also a very low spot rate. You're not satisfied with that. When the rate goes down, you basically are having that risk, but you can exercise the put option at 1.46. All right, when the spot rate is 1.46, you are break even, so that's neutral. You just need to pay the premium. If the spot rate is 1.5, well, that's a good deal for you. You want to sell at 1.5. You don't want to sell at 1.46, right? You see, you receive 10 million pounds and you want to sell. You want to sell at 1.5. You don't want to sell at the put option strike price. So in this case, you just go with the 1.5. You don't exercise the you don't exercise the put option and go with 1.46. And the same thing you do for the spot rate of 1.6. 1.6 is high, and you want to take advantage of that. You want to go with it, so you don't need to exercise the put option. Otherwise, you will need to sell at 1.46. Okay, and here is the gross dollar proceeds. So these are this is the proceeds when you exercise the put option. You sell 10 million pounds each at a $1.46. So 1.46 multiplied by 10 million pounds, that gives you 14.6 million US dollars. And likewise, if the spot rate is 1.4, you sell each pound at a 1.46 because you exercise the put option, which gives you a higher selling price, and that's how much your dollar have. And then for the other cases, if you don't exercise the put option, you just go with the spot rate. For $1.5 per pound, you would get $15 million. For $1.6 per pound, you get $16 million. And definitely, under each circumstance, you have to pay the option premium. Okay, the option premium, as I said, includes the premium you pay right now and also the U.S. interest rate. So the option cost is a future value. This option cost is the future value. It's just at the same timeline with the gross dollar proceeds. They both happen a year later. And then you have to subtract this option cost from your gross dollar proceeds. 14.6 million dollars minus this option cost would give you this amount, and $15 million minus this option cost would give you this amount. So that's your net dollar proceeds. If you look at the profit curve for your position, for the 10 million pounds you're going to receive, if you use a forward to hedge, you always receive 14.6 million US dollars because you signed yourself into a contract. It does not matter how low the spot rate is or how high the spot rate is. You always go with $1.46 per pound. That's the forward rate. However, if you sign a put, if you buy the put option, then if the spot rate goes low, well, you will exercise the right to sell at 1.46. So this would be your dollar proceeds. And if the spot rate goes high, you don't exercise it. You don't want to sell at the put strike because that's lower compared to the high spot rate. So you just want to go with the high spot rate, and those are high proceeds. So definitely you see the gap between the forward hedge, which come from $1.46 per pound multiplied by 10 million pounds, and this amount is lower than that. So guess what that gap is? That's right, that's the option cost, the future value of the option cost. That's a part of your cash flow. You have to calculate it into your dollar revenue. All right, recall what we learned earlier. If we are using put option to do speculation, it's a very different from using put option to do hedging, because in hedging you have a 10 million pounds receivable, but if you're doing speculation, you don't have that amount receivable. If you buy 10 million pounds today, you have to sell it sometime in the future, sell the 10 million pounds to clear your position. At the end of the game, you have zero position in pounds, and hopefully you could have some dollar profit by buying low and selling high. If the situation is not in your favor, you may have a dollar loss because the price you sell is lower than the price you buy. That's speculation. And in speculation, there are two trades. There are a pair of trades, a buy and a low. So if you exercise the put option, then you will sell at the strike price, and simultaneously you need to buy at the spot rate, okay? And then the difference would be your profit. So for more details, you can check the previous lecture videos. Just remember, if you're doing speculation, there have to be a parallel trade in the spot market. On one hand side, you exercise put option, you buy the foreign currency. On the other hand side, you will sell the foreign currency in the spot market. And you can see from the curve, the sloped line is the situation when you exercise a put. The flat line is when you don't exercise a put. Okay, and here is an exercise for us. Boeing company imported, not export this time, it's importing things from Rolls-Royce, and you know it's a British company, and this time it's still, the deal is invoiced in British pound, it's a foreign currency, and this time Boeing is paying that 5 million pounds. So if Boeing is paying 5 million pounds in 1 year, so what could the exchange possibly be? In a good situation, the exchange rate goes down, for each pound is worth less US dollars, so you will pay less dollar cost. But if a pound appreciate for the same 5 million pounds, you will need to pay more US dollars. So that's a bad situation. That's a situation you need to hedge. You need to prevent from happening. So if it's about foreign currency payables, the company should buy call options, and this time the strike price is 1.8, and the premium is also given to you, and both of them are at per pound level. Okay, and remember, if you are calculating your financial benefits, you have to make sure the present value is converted to future value. You have to compound with the US interest rate. All right, so please find the dollar cost for securing the pound payable when the future spot rate is a different amount, 0, 1.5, 1.8, and 1.9. So think about that. If 1 pound is worth 0 US dollars, okay, this is fictitiously not happening, but you can think about that. So for the 5 million pounds, how much dollar do you need to pay to get 5 million pounds when each pound is worth nothing? Yeah, so you just pay nothing for 5 million pounds. So that's the best situation for you, right? Do you access the call option to buy at 1.8 other than pay nothing? You probably don't want to access that call option, right? You just take advantage of the low spot rate a year later. Likewise, if the spot rate is 1.5, okay, if spot rate is 1.5, which is also lower than the call strike price. So you will need to buy 5 million pounds in order to pay Rolls-Royce. Do you want to buy a pound at 1.5, the future spot rate, or you want to buy at 1.8, the strike price offered by the call option? Definitely you want to go with the lower buying price, right? You want to go with the 1.5, because that's the lower one. You just take advantage of the lower future spot rate. And in that case, you don't access the call option, you just let it expire, you don't touch it. All right. However, in the last number, $1.9, do you want to buy a pound at $1.9? That seems to be too high, right? And then you will look at what the call option you have could do for you. So the call option again has a strike price of 1.8. So between 1.8 and 1.9, you want to choose 1.8. You want to pay a lower dollar price for a pound. Okay, so if the spot rate is 1.9 when it's too high, you want to exercise the call option and pay $1.8, the strike price for each pound, and then for all the 5 million pounds, and then you use the 5 million pounds to pay your bill to Rolls-Royce. And this is the dollar cost curve. So what you see here is again a flat line. That's the forward rate. That is the fixed, no matter whether the spot rate is low or is high. But if you use call options, you will see that if the spot rate goes pretty low, that's good for you. Okay, that's good for you because you just go along with the low spot rate. You buy pounds at the low spot rate, pay low US dollars. When the spot rate is 0, basically you don't need to pay a penny for any of those 5 million pounds. However, you do have to pay for the premium. Remember, at the beginning of the game, we bought the call option, so we have to pay the premium. And also, this 95,400 comes from the this premium. Okay, this is a premium, $0.018 per pound multiplied by 5 million. So that's roughly 90,000. That's exactly $90,000. That's exactly $90,000. However, that is the present value we're looking at right now. The thing is, the bill is not due until a year later. So you need to convert that 90,000 US dollar present value to a future value. How do you do that? That's 90,000 multiplied by 1 plus 6%. Okay, so 90,000 multiplied by 1 plus 6%, that's going to give you 95,400. That's the future value of your call option premium for 5 million pounds. Okay, so as I said, when the spot rate is low, you go with that. As spot rate goes higher and higher, you pay more and more US dollars. But there is a up limit. If spot rate goes too high, higher than this 1.8 strike price for the call option, you just go with the call strike price. You pay 1.8, no matter the spot rate is 1.9, 2.0, or 2.3. You just go with the lower strike price because you can do that because you can, all right? Because you have already paid the call option. That provides you the right to buy at a low strike price, okay? So you go with the 1.8. And if you go with 1.8, then you will pay 9 million US dollars, you know, $1.8 times 5 million pounds, that's going to give you 9 million US dollars. And definitely you have to incorporate the future value of a call option premium into your cost calculation. So the gap here, okay, the gap here basically is the call option premium.